everyone, and welcome to the Baron's Court. I know it's been a little while, and had things to do, life's been busy. Anyways, I know this is a bit of a different format than what you're all used to, but a little bit of a special video game occasion for me, and I've had a lot of people asking me questions, so I figured I'd make a video and explain what my feelings are on Final Fantasy 15. Came out earlier this week on Tuesday. Here's the box. It's the Day 1 edition I got from GameStop. I also got the Collector's Edition strategy guide, or study guide as I like to call it. The Day 1 edition from GameStop came with a few extra things. It came with, was it King's Tale? That's like a mini video game. It came with Mazamune, which is a sword that you can use in the game. It's a big greatsword, two-hander. And I think it came with a couple other things. I haven't seen exactly what they are yet, but nothing overly important. The sword is the thing that I use the most right off the bat, although I've already moved beyond that. So getting into that, where I'm at in the game, just so everybody can take that into consideration, my guys just hit level 22. I just kind of started chapter 3, and I put in about 16 hours. Most of my time has been spent doing hunts, side quests, things of that nature. I typically in RPGs don't like to progress the story until I absolutely have to. So that being said, let's get into it. I'll start out with some of the good things that I really enjoy about this game so far. Keep that in mind. I might do an update later and change some of these if any of them change. But this is my thoughts, and only my thoughts so far. The art and scenery and all that is wonderful. They did a really good job with it. That being said, most games of this nature nowadays are good at that. If you come out with a game on these current consoles, or let alone the half next consoles for the 4Ks, if you're putting something out that doesn't look good, you've really got problems. Unless you're a really, really small indie developing company, something like that. No Man's Sky being a very good example of a game that doesn't really look very good. You're going to have a good product visually. Final Fantasy 15 being no exception. Along with that, I'm really enjoying the music in this game. It does have its own music for the main game. Something nice that they added in is the ability to choose past Final Fantasy game musics while you're riding in the car for your soundtrack. Nice touch. That also plays into something else that I like about the game, which is the nostalgia factor. Now, yes, it's great that they're trying to make me remember old Final Fantasies and go back to the days where I enjoyed playing Final Fantasy, because I haven't really since Final Fantasy X. That being said, I don't want... My entire goal with this game was to try to not think about the games that I really enjoyed Final Fantasy-wise while I played this one. I was trying to take it on its own and play it without comparing it. Because otherwise I'm going to be comparing to Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 2 and 3 for a console. Oh, by the way, when I refer to 2 and 3, I'm speaking strictly of consoles, so Super Nintendo, which would have been, what, 4 and 6 for PC. So when I say 2 and 3, keep that in mind. That's the Super Nintendo ones. So yeah, the nostalgia is great in this game. You got chocobos, you got music, you got your da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da music when you win a battle. You know, all the stuff that you expect to feel in a Final Fantasy game. You got the same carryover characters like you got a Behemoth, you got Sid, although he's a little different in this one than you're going to be used to. That being said, another good thing that I've enjoyed in this one so far is the variety of locations. It does start you out kind of in the countryside. You're at a little gas depot, and it's pretty rural. As you progress, though, you're going to hit bigger and bigger cities. I just got into one of the bigger cities a little bit. Listellum, I think, is the name of it, if I remember correctly. So yes, they do a good job of that sort of variety. And along those lines, the other thing that I find good is the story build-up so far. They're doing a good job of character development and moving the story along at a pace that's good for an RPG. Not any huge twists or anything so far, but, I'm sure that will come with time. Now, let's get into what I don't like, because there is a little bit of that. First thing is the gameplay itself is actually a little bit boring. I feel like Final Fantasy did not choose a direction on what they wanted to go, and they ended up coming up with something a little bit bland. Something it's kind of been done with the action RPGs as of late, where it's you really can just mash a couple buttons once you get the techniques down, especially if you're going to get used to one weapon, which in this one you're going to use your, was it the engine blade for Noctis most of the time. Honestly, as long as you square dodge, out of the way, hit them from the back, and you just keep doing that, you're going to win most of your battles. Yes, obviously there's times where I use magic, or you're going to want to switch up weapons, but really, particularly with a game like this where there's so many side quests and hunts and things of that nature to level up, you're going to be strong enough for most of the main battles where you're not going to have to worry about weak points as much as you would as if I just blitzed through the story, which you can do if you want to just do story, and then you're going to have to use a little bit more strategy. That is one way to go, but me personally, so far, it's kind of bland. So what's next on my list of things I don't like? On my list right now, I cannot stand the Regalia, which is the car that is in this game. And supposedly, the Final Fantasy developers wanted it to be kind of like an airship. They also said it's going to be like a member of your party. Well, you know, it's a member of my party that I would not use heal potions or Phoenix Downs on. I would let it die off. I don't care about developing it. I don't care about waxing it. I don't care about the fiberglass. I don't care about the colors. I don't care about the stickers. It's slow. It's boring. If they want to put fast travel in, just put fast travel in. Or just use chocobos. The chocobos are fun. I had no problem with that. I just got them, so maybe they'll get boring too. But the Regalia, it's not a system I enjoy. Next up, a small thing. Sid in this one, not what I would normally expect. Normally he's kind of the airship repairman, engineer type of guy in most of the games, which he kind of is in this one. He kind of runs a gas station. He's responsible for leveling up your moddable weapons, the engine blade being one of them. Probably the most irritating thing for me, at least at the moment, is the walk-run situation. You can sprint in this game while you're on foot, and it's great when you can because it moves you faster, obviously. But you do run out of stamina, and then you trip for a second, and then you gotta wait a second for it to recharge, and then you can run again. Well, there's several locations. I don't remember the name of it. It's that southern coastal small town, resort town, where you deal with Dino and the news reporter guy, and you gotta walk down a pier to get to the main part of the little village, and that's where you have the chef and stuff like that where you got to interact with. Well, it's a long pier, and it's so annoying to stop your car and have to sprint 6-7 times just to get there. Incredibly irritating. If you're going to do something like that, let me park closer, or give me a watercraft that gets me there. Something to get me in there closer. I can't stand the one run walk situation. Now, yeah, obviously they have the Regalia and they have the chocobos when you get to the chocobos, which help that situation, but you're still going to be on foot for a lot of this game, and that is a huge irritant. Really, really problematic, especially when you're getting attacked by Magitech soldiers all the time, dropping out of the sky, which is also another big irritant. On a side note, aside from the main game, the King's Story or King's Tale game that came with it is total crap. It's like a side-scroller fighting game, kind of another nostalgia thing where they want you to deal with, or they want you to feel like you're playing like an 80s arcade game or early 90s arcade game in PlayStation. It's got PlayStation 1-ish graphics. Incredibly boring. I played it for 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes, and I probably will not touch it again. So that being a bonus to come with the game would not have been a selling point for me had I known. I still would have gotten the game day one. It's a Final Fantasy game. I've played them since the NES when I first got it when I was 5. So I do like my Final Fantasy games, and I will play all of them, but that little side thing is not a worthwhile addition. So, to wrap it up, I guess people want to know if I like the game. Well, that's kind of still up in the air. I recently, when I say recently, I think it was last year, played a game for the Wii U called Xenoblade Chronicles, and the gameplay, and especially the battle system in Final Fantasy 15 really, really feels like that, and I did not complete that game because it got boring. Now that one is a lot of running back and forth and doing side quests and building up, but so is this in its own way. So hopefully the story or character development or something keeps me interested into this to where I don't get bored like I did with Xenoblade Chronicles. Again, Xenoblade Chronicles looked beautiful, everything worked great, sounded great, but it just didn't keep me engaged in the game. I'm also not sure in this Final Fantasy how I am going to enjoy the combination of the fantasy world and kind of real world type stuff with like gas stations where you can rent chocobos, that sort of thing. I know Final Fantasy's done that before. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, as with all Final Fantasy things. And also, I'm not sure how I feel about. I guess I don't feel like they chose a direction in this one. And I know to an extent they did it on purpose. They even, when you turn the game on, it says a Final Fantasy for fans and newcomers alike or something along those lines. So they did try to cater to the people like me that have enjoyed it for a long time, as well as try to get new fans. So it right now doesn't feel like it's working. If I had the choice, would I buy this game again? Yes, as of right now. But it's a Final Fantasy game, and I'm always going to buy them. So I'm kind of biased in that way. If I wasn't a fan and I was just jumping in, it's hard for me to say because, again, with all this nostalgia and stuff, they're trying to make me feel like I should have with the games I did enjoy. So I know this is kind of a non-answer. I just don't know yet how I feel about this. I guess I would lean more towards it has the possibility of getting boring, and I hope it doesn't. I have high hopes for it, so take that for what it is, and I hope everybody got a little bit involved out of this. If they have any more questions for me, feel free to comment and or let me know in person, and I'll comment on this as well. But if anybody wants to try it out, I would recommend trying it out, and hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching.